spent your whole life watching movies, from the bad to the good to the best. Well, here comes a series from the U.S. that rivals all of the rest. From the humidity down in Alabama to the where is Wyoming, we got 50 films to show you. After that you might not feel a thing. It's the worst state of movies to make you sit down and think. And it's the worst state of movies that might even lead you to drink.
Hey everybody, Wild Man Wes here, and welcome to another edition of Worst State of Movies. We survived the room in California yesterday, so let's go and see what state we're going to be visiting today. Colorado, the good wife Becca's home state. So for today's movie, this is how I'm going to start it off. Literature is a very interesting thing. It can inspire us, make us laugh, make us cry, make us angry, take us to another world. In a lot of instances, literature has been adapted into film and television. That being said, some are good, some are bad. And today's movie is stirred with a little bit of controversy. Not necessarily the subject matter of the film, but more about real-world situations. I'm going to be treading very lightly, and a lot of it is going to be about the movie, not about real-world situations. That way I don't get demonetized or a lot of angry comments and angry mail from certain individuals. So we'll just leave it at that. The movie that was picked for the worst that was ever filmed in Colorado was 2000's Battlefield Earth. This movie was adapted from the science fiction book of the same name by L. Ron Hubbard, science fiction writer and also the founder of Scientology. Now it's time to talk about the movie. Let's not talk about anything else. The year is 3000 and humanity has more or less been driven to small factions of tribes, villages, not much technology. They pretty much got knocked back to the Stone Age. Let's just put it that way. As they're hunting and gathering for food and anything under the sun to add to their provisions in their said villages, something happens. Extraterrestrial beings start rounding them up and using them as, let's just say, indentured servants to gather minerals and gold for their own profits. Now, while this is going on, the main commander of the alien fleet is being betrayed by some of his comrades, and he needs to find a way to get back up into the higher ranks. And when he does this, he befriends one of the humans, though the human does not trust him whatsoever. A group of them go to a distinct location to look for more gold. While that is happening, there's back and forths of betrayal and figuring out a way to escape and learning languages of the other extraterrestrial beings throughout the universe. And eventually the humans find a way to turn the alien race against each other and destroy their home offices on their home planets and try to rebuild their civilizations as best as possible. That's the movie in a nutshell. Now, when I say that the movie The Room was an endurance trial, Battlefield Earth is a whole other can of worms. This was one of those movies that I really, because I've never read the book, I don't necessarily know the story. And I'll be very honest about this, I've actually never seen the movie. I've heard mixed reviews online and from people that have been in film studies and whatnot, even when I was in college. Like I said, I'm treading very lightly on this because I don't know how people are going to react to this review. We're going to talk about what I like and what I don't like about this film. Now, what I like about this film, the special effects are very, very decent for the year 2000, because a lot of CGI was not very well put together. I wouldn't say it was in its infancy stage, but CGI was definitely... It was getting a renaissance, in a way. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that about 8 years prior to this, or 9 years prior to this with Terminator 2, a lot of the CGI with the T-1000 was phenomenal. This, with a whole new slap of paint, I would say the CGI and the special effects were decent for what it was. The story itself, I get where it was coming from. However, the more I watched the movie, I felt that this was like, as Billy Connolly would say, an opera, 2/3 too long. The runtime for this is about 2 hours, and the reason why I say it's about, I say 2/3 too long or somewhat long is going into something that I didn't like. This movie suffers from what I like to call slow motion overload. Quite a number of scenes, almost every other scene, there are slow motion moments to capture the action. And not gonna lie, I would say a half hour of this, is slow motion scenes. And it can really draw your attention elsewhere. And my attention was drawn elsewhere at a lot of moments. And I'm not going to sit here and say shame on you and wag the finger at the film. It's more or less, it was just, was that amount of slow motion necessary? I don't know. Now we're going to talk about the acting in this film. Now, John Travolta and even people like Forrest Whitaker are very, very talented actors. They've been in so many movies and part of the who's who of Hollywood. However, when it comes to this story and the acting and dialogue, I'm perplexed because this movie seems to be something serious. And it's supposed to be this serious sci-fi film. However, the performance of John Travolta in this film feels almost comical or almost a parody of a extraterrestrial being thinking that they're better than everybody. And this character's supposed to be a pompous ass, but it just seemed a little overdone. And I'm not trying to take away a lot from John Travolta. He's done a lot of great work and had a lot of amazing performances. This one, however, I feel it didn't work for me. And I'm not sitting there trying to be mean about it. It's just, I tried laughing, but after a while I just was questioning, is this supposed to be a serious character, or is this supposed to be a joke character? And that's where it really muddied the line of seriousness versus comedy. And that's also what drove my attention elsewhere, because it was very hard to focus. Because I wanted to focus on the story, but the performances threw me off. They really did. Alright, now it's time to grade this film, and man, I'm just very, I'll be honest, I'm just very uncomfortable about this. This is one of those, do I want to play anymore? And but I'm committed. I told you were going to get 50 reviews of 50 movies based on each state and why they're the worst, or whether or not they deserve to be the worst. Rewatchability, there are people out there that have said that they like this movie and they can rewatch it. For me, my attention span just couldn't do it. Is it the worst movie made in Colorado? Hard to say. I'm gonna have to phone this one in and give it inconclusive. I know. You're probably thinking, Wes, why are you kowtowing? Why are you bowing out on this one? It's just, there are some touchy subjects out there regarding, you know where I'm going with this, but it's one of those, maybe I was watching too many movies for research that day, and I was tired, and I landed on this one for my last one that day, and maybe I didn't give it a fair enough shake. Who knows? Maybe I might come back and do a retrospect. However, I'm going to say that it is inconclusive. I will give this movie another shot one day and see whether or not I was right in the review for today, or maybe I missed some things. But other than that, we hope you at least appreciated this episode and the review. If you have some of the same agreements on opinions, leave a thumbs up. And, if you don't agree with me, you can leave a thumbs down too. I totally get it. As I've mentioned before, not movie is for everybody. And this movie, for the moment, really isn't for me. But who knows? Maybe it might grow on me. Others have. Only time will tell. Other than that, make sure you share on social media, push that little red button, and ring that bell for instant notifications. Until then, I'm Wildman Wes, and we will see you next time for another episode of Worst State of Movies. Take care.
It's